Welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen's Call podcast with host Lane Nordland.
All righty, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Cattlemen's Call podcast. Lane Nordland, happy to be with you as always. Hey, our conversation today is taking place in Orlando, Florida at the 2024 CattleCon. The NCBA trade show will actually kick off tomorrow after we record this conversation. But again, CattleCon is a place where folks are coming together from across the nation to learn, expand their knowledge about the cattle industry, and of course advocate for the cattle business as well. And while folks are here, they see a lot of youth in the industry, which I think is great. I used to be a youth in agriculture, but I'm in my 30s now, and I feel like I should still be a youth in agriculture, but I think I'm classified differently by USDA nowadays. But we have some outstanding collegiates joining us here today. Bailee Schiefelbein is joining us here today from Oklahoma State University. I know you're from Minnesota, though. So.
I am. Let's make sure they get the right states, Minnesota and Oklahoma.
And Grayson Lee joins us from Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College there in Georgia. Grayson, thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, as we mentioned, CattleCon is truly just starting to kick off here today. But for our listeners out there, Grayson, is this your first CattleCon, or have you come before in the past?
No, this is actually my first one, so I get to experience all the new things. I'm excited about it.
And I guess, how did you learn about CattleCon?
Just through our advisors. They talk about it ever since. They always take a group of officers there, and so I knew that was one thing I was looking forward to whenever I signed up for the officer team.
And Bailee, for yourself, how many CattleCons have you been to?
This is actually number 9 for me.
Number 9?
Yeah. Out of 21 years, I've been to 9 of them. So I feel like that's a pretty impressive number for my age. But parents got involved, and it was easy to follow along with them. And I've had a lot of great adventures out here. And so it's been a lot of fun. I keep coming back.
Well, for our dedicated listeners of the Cattlemen's Call podcast, Bailee's dad, Don Schiefelbein, of course, is a past president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and a great seed stock family up there in Minnesota. Small family operation. We can talk about that here in a minute as well. But Grayson, you mentioned you were an officer. Could you maybe expand more about the organization that you're coming with, and then maybe just talk more about your agricultural college, what you're studying, and what put you on that path?
Right, yeah. So I'm the chaplain for the ABAC Cattlemen's Association. We have about 120 members in our school. Our school was founded as an ag school. We got all kinds of different majors now, but I'm a livestock production major. I'm minoring in ag business. But yeah, it's just a small school, a lot of farming community around our school. It's a great place to go, just learn about agriculture in general, no matter if you're in crops, livestock. It's a great school.
And so, did you grow up in production agriculture, and that kind of fueled your want to stay in the livestock into things?
Right. So I was actually born on a dairy farm. We sold out when the recession and milk prices went down low, and we've just had beef cattle ever since then. And I knew that I thought I threw a bunch of different ideas up in there, but I knew I couldn't live without cattle. So that's what I was been fueled by the livestock industry for a long time, and so it's just a calling of mine.
So where did you grow up at?
I'm actually from Landrum, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yep. In Spartanburg County.
And you hope to go back there to South Carolina and continue things on, or
yeah, I'd love
to.
At? Yeah, I mean, I love the Southeast in general. But yeah, I would love to go back around home and continue it on.
Bailee, for yourself, same thing. What led you on the path there to Oklahoma State University?
Yeah, so I grew up on my family's Angus seed stock operation in Kimball, Minnesota, and so I was surrounded by agriculture and cattle my entire life. One thing that was always unique and taught to me is to go out and explore outside of our family farm before coming back, and it's something that all the generations before me have done, and so I'm the first generation to go to Oklahoma State. I was pretty excited about that. And so going down there, I am majoring in animal science and agricultural communications, which is also a little different than the rest of my family, but it brings some new information to the agriculture as a whole and to the family. And so I'm really excited to be down there and learn a different part of the beef industry.
And I'm going to poke a little fun at you a little bit, but do folks in Oklahoma say you have an accent from Minnesota? And do people in Minnesota say you're picking up an Okie accent?
I can tell people will listen to us talk, and all of a sudden they're like, that was it. That's the accent. I was like, oh, you were trying to get words out of me. I can tell. But yeah, in Minnesota, they're not as much. I think I always had a little bit of Southern in me from my mom, so I don't think they noticed as much.
Yeah, where's your mom from again?
She's from Texas,
That's
South
right.
Texas.
That's right. I've attended a few events with the Schiefelbeins over the years, and but you were in Lewistown, Montana.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, you came to the Montana Stock. That's where I grew up and graduated from there, right in the heart of central Montana. But getting back, this isn't about me because, again, I'm an old guy. I have gray hair nowadays. But when we talk about collegiate activities, and especially on the livestock end of things, Grayson, talk more about the organization you're representing, too, and how that keeps you active, too, but also being an advocate for the livestock business as well.
Right. I mean, we do a bunch of different activities throughout the school year. We have our meetings every other Wednesday. We do a lot of fundraisers and stuff like that. We help with we have a bull and heifer sale that UGA puts on. We help feed the crowd there. But we try to bring in people from all over Georgia, Florida, the Southeast, to come and just talk about different things that they're involved with. Just to put a face with a name, shake a hand. In this industry, it's all about networks, about who you know. And so, that's what we just try to let people meet industry leaders. So, yeah.
And Bailee, I forget, what group are you representing here today?
I'm with the Oklahoma Collegiate Cattlewomen.
Okay. And for yourself, what are some of the activities that you do back on campus or there in Oklahoma, and what are some of the main priorities you have focus on?
Yeah, and in Oklahoma, it's so different than Minnesota. It's a huge cattle state, and everybody there is so supportive of the cattle and beef industry, and it shines through them assisting with their collegiates and all of their organizations. So one thing that we do in the fall semester, we really focus on Oklahoma State's homecoming, which, if you don't know, is America's greatest homecoming. So it brings together the whole state, and we do a lot of beef promotion, and like I said, there's just so much support from across the state. And then in the spring semester, we really focus on Eat Beef Week. And last year, we partnered with the Oklahoma State baseball team, and we did a game with them and our person throughout the first pitch, and we had a hamburger cooking contest, and everyone there just loves beef, and it's just fun to be around that atmosphere.
So, Bailee, for yourself, obviously a lot of our listeners probably went to a land-grant university or a 2-year program and expanded their knowledge about the future that they may have in the livestock business. But for our listeners out there that are alumni and maybe they're like, our land-grant universities, are they still doing stuff for agriculture? I guess, what's your response there for Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State will forever be a die-hard agriculture school through and through. It's what they're known. It's what they love. And you can see it all the way through our leadership and everything we do. The alumni, everybody just supports agriculture, and it's something that I don't see fading anytime soon at Oklahoma State.
Now, Grayson, you mentioned that Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College is a smaller learning opportunity or learning institution is the term I'm trying to find there. But how does that make that intimate? Being closer with your advisors and your professors and having a closer, tight-knit community with your fellow collegiates. What does that experience like?
I'd say it's just amazing. You see almost everybody on a daily basis. You get to see your professors and, like you said, advisors on a daily basis. You get to build a relationship with them, which is really cool. I've got phone numbers and all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't mind calling up one day if I needed to. But so just the tight knit community that we have at our school is just top tier, I think, and that's one thing I love about it. It's like a little small community.
And I guess how many people attend?
I think they write a little under 4,000 students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's still pretty good size.
Right.
But, I grew up in a town of 5,000, so, that's pretty good size for me up in Montana. But coming back to CattleCon, Bailee, obviously you've attended 9 of these throughout your life, but what are some of the educational things that you participate in every single year that you just you're going to get something out of, and maybe what's something new that you're looking forward to here this year?
I think the easy thing I get the most out of is Cattlemen's College and just being around all of those industry-leading experts and hearing their opinions on different issues that rise above. Something that I think is more and more interesting as I've grown up here is the policy side and learning about the different issues that are involved in agriculture and how we're going about facing them. and really diving into the grassroots effort that is NCBA and CattleCon and how they go about fighting these issues. I think it's really interesting to hear about the grassroots aspect.
And Grayson, for yourself, obviously this is your first CattleCon. You've probably went through the list of some of those cattlemen's colleges and other opportunities. I guess what has sparked your interest a little more in some of these experiential learning opportunities here?
All of them really. You know, I have a passion in forages and health too. So just anything in that general aspect of either one of those I find super interesting. And, you know, like she said, I'm just excited to hear from experts in our industry that know a lot more about it than I do.
And one thing that I think you'll find really cool is also the demo arena, where you got some outstanding guys like Dean Fish, Kurt Pate, Ron Gill down there, and they are just their livestock handling workshops are pretty cool. But wait till you see that set up there on the trade show floor, and they're working heifers and doing everything there. Honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of convention, because usually I'm hosting podcasts and doing interviews, and I walk through the trade show really fast. In the last few hours of it on Friday, I'll get to take it in. But, you know, from that, I guess, from a collegiate aspect of things, what are some of the skills or knowledge you want to take back to really help you in your studies?
I think one thing I want to take back is just meeting people and building that network, especially being a senior, you know, coming out of college, looking for a job, looking for a career. You want to build connections, and these are, you know, the top of the industry, and meeting them. And at CattleCon, it's so unique because everybody's so approachable. You could just walk up and shake hands with just about anybody in that trade show, and they're out having a good time, and they're very comfortable atmosphere. And I think that's so exciting, is to just build that network with people.
Grayson, for yourself?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Just meeting people, like I said earlier, just not in this industry, especially, it's about who you know. Shaking hands, networking. Like, you know, like she said too, just, you know, looking for a career in the future, and you never know what meeting one person might lead to. So
Grayson, can I ask, in the past, was your family involved in agriculture organizations on the county and state level or the national level?
Right. Yeah. We were. Like my dad and my mom, they were part of like young farmer associations in our county, in our state. But it was more dairy focused than it was beef focused. But yeah, they were. You know, it's not something I was entirely a part of, but it's something that was definitely a part of my childhood and bringing up.
But did that maybe spark your interest a little bit when you went to college and were able to participate?
Sure. Right. Yeah. 100%. Just because, you know, they got, you know, I would meet people that. We did this with them in a different association, and, you know, just meeting different people.
So it's an observation I've made, as now I'm an old man with gray hair in my 30s, with a baby and another one on the way, and my knees hurt, and the hangovers suck now. Sorry to the listeners. But an observation I've made is in college, you get a lot of collegiates that are very active, whether that's in the Cattlemen, in the Cattlemen's, the stock, all the various agriculture groups, and then they go out into the real world, and they may not pay their dues. You know, maybe it takes a few years to get reconnected with their state association, with their county, with the national, and so it's tough to ask two very active collegiates because you're in the prime of learning. You're eager to go out. It's an exciting time to be an advocate for agriculture, to learn more and to further your career. Do you see yourselves being active after college and wanting to be involved on the county, state, and national level? Grayson?
Yeah, I would say 100%. It's definitely worth the little bit of dues you got to pay to be a part of it. But just like, I mean, being able to attend stuff like this, you know, even on the state level, you just get to enjoy a lot of different things, meet a lot of different people, and I think it's definitely worth it.
And Bailee, I know you come from a family that's very active, especially in the Angus Association as well. I know your dad was president in the past as well, but I guess what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to give it some time off, or are you going to stay engaged all the way through, you think?
The plan is to stay engaged all the way through, and right now it's kind of up in the air where I end up after college. So if I don't end up back in my home state of Minnesota, I think it'd be really important to join those local organizations, because that's how I plan on building my community. You know, you already found people who are like-minded, you know what they're like, and to build that community around them. And then if I head back to Minnesota, it's an organization that I've been a part of forever, and I want to continue to give back to that organization and continue to grow it. And so I think it's important to stay involved.
And see, these are conversations that we have and that I have with multiple leaders in various agriculture organizations. But, for example, Montana stock growers, when I was in college, some outstanding leaders, they stepped up and said, hey, we want to have a collegiate stock grower. So they started that Montana State University, and now they have several collegiate stock growers on different campuses in the state of Montana. But one of the challenges that they face, and it could be the same for the YFNR, for Farm Bureau, is you get 80 active members, and then maybe only 4 or 5 of them are active 5 to 10 years after MPay dues, after they graduate. And again, I like I said, you guys you're in your prime, you're learning, you're excited to be involved. What, I guess, from your perspective, what is enticing to you to be a member? What do you want to get out of that membership, Grayson, looking ahead? I think it's important for our leaders now to hear that. And what member benefits do you want out of membership in a county, state, and national organization?
Yeah, I feel like I've said it 4 times, but just the people, you're getting to meet industry leaders that, you're not just going to, unless you go to things like this, you're not going to meet, you're not just going to pass them on the sidewalk or something like that. So I think that's the most important thing is just being able to meet the people and network with those people and, and they can teach you stuff, you can teach them stuff, throw ideas off one another. So, yeah.
One day you guys are going to be, I see what that guy was talking about.
Yeah.
Why isn't my roommate? Why isn't he involved anymore? Bailee, for yourself, I guess, what is some feedback you have as a young person in agriculture? You obviously, as I mentioned, you've grown up in the Angus Association, within NCBA, within the Minnesota organizations. What do you want to receive out of member benefits?
I think one thing, and I've been told this from my grandpa and my dad and my parents for as long as I can remember, but how important it is to show up, because that's how you make change in this industry. So if you don't like something, you have to show up to these meetings, you have to vote, you have to put that effort in. And so to me, that's why people should be more involved and stay involved. And to get that to the collegiate level is hard, because right now you feel like you don't know enough to vote, you don't know a lot of information. But to get to that point, you're not going to make any change if you don't show up.
Now, have both of you been following the policy-making process while you're here? Is that something, Grayson, maybe you want to look at and maybe say, like, oh, man, these can be lively?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not that I've been, you think like, oh, the government and stuff like that. But, yeah, for sure.
And Bailee, are you going to follow some of that, or is
Yeah,
your dad here banging the drum for anything right now?
I've definitely sat in on a few of those meetings, and sometimes Dad's like, you just got to be careful, just sit in the back, don't listen too closely. But yeah, I've definitely sat in on a few of those meetings, and I'm excited to continue to sit on them. And as I've grown up, better understand what they're actually talking about. And it's cool to be able to just kind of take notes and then be like, hey, Dad, what did they mean by this? And what did they say this? Why did they do this? And really get those questions answered from a different perspective.
We've seen technology change so fast. I mean, again, I'm going to age myself with you youths. Like MySpace was more popular than Facebook when I was in college, and you had to have a .edu email to have Facebook
really?
back in the did you not know
I
that?
did not know
Facebook
that.
was designed only for college students back in the day. And then all that changed, and I think it changed when my mom got an account. That was just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm not going to get into that, but I've seen so many shifts in just how people, and I work in ag communications, but and how they receive knowledge and how they receive maybe false or misleading information for or in agriculture. But the trends have changed so fast. The technology has changed. I mean, so many different ways you can manage cattle. It's just amazing in the last 15 years how much change has occurred. I guess from your perspective, what are some of the things that, you would hope that the beef industry does in the next 5 to 10 years from your perspective as a young person? Bailee, I'll start with you with that question.
So I think one thing the beef industry could really work on is unifying itself. I think social media, it's easy to divide issues within the beef industry and outside of the beef industry. And right now there's a lot of people trying to put us out of business. And to take those people down and to continue to stay in business, we need to work together and be a team and kind of focus on those wedge issues and get a handle on those and then work for that way.
Mm-hmm. Grayson, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd say in the next 5 to 10 years, I think technology in general is a big one. They say the average producer is like 65, and most older gentlemen or older producers, they don't want to invest or put money into these technologies that like we've been doing it this way for a long time. And so I think just different technologies in general we could improve on that, because it could help the way we produce cattle and the money that we make producing cattle. So
one thing that I think we're going to see more in the 5 to 10 years, we're going to see more women in leadership in these organizations too. Montana next year will have their first female president of the Montana Stockgrowers Association since 1884.
Very cool.
And a good family friend of ours, Leslie Robinson, NCBA's had 3 female presidents since its inception as NCA and then NCBA. Bailee, I guess what's your observation on that? Because I was very active in FFA too, and that's a trend we've seen there, and I think it's great. But I guess how do you feel about that?
I definitely think we're going to get more women in leadership, and they're really growing their portfolios right now, and they're going to work their way up, and I'm excited to be a part of that and learn from the leaders who have done it and hopefully grow into be one of those leaders.
And Grayson, I'm not putting a target on you with that either. I just think it's so much of the past has been, a hierarchy or whatever we want. I don't want to make anyone mad that's listening either, but everybody on a farm or ranch is involved in the farm or ranch, right, and the operation and everything too. But I guess where do you see young people stepping up into these leadership roles a little differently? Maybe, do leadership roles need to be a little different? Do you think in these organizations and how they've been?
I think that everybody's got different ideas and different ways of doing things. So yeah, I think that young people stepping up into these roles and it will bring different ideas that
just make a change.
Yeah.
And with that though, obviously when you go to college, you have some outstanding advisors, or maybe you have some mentors that truly help shape your career, your career path, the future that you would like to see in front of you. I guess, who are some of the mentors or people that you look up to in the industry or through your collegiate experience right now? Bailee?
I think a lot of my mentors even started when I was young at the Minnesota Cattlemen's Association and working my way through there, and they've come back and helped me, and I interned back in Minnesota a few summers. And so just their entire leadership as a whole. And then at Oklahoma State, Dr. Cheryl DeVeest, who's the advisor for the Oklahoma Collegiate Cattlewomen, has done a fantastic job really working with each of us and mentoring us in what we want to grow and to develop. And the people at Oklahoma State as a whole are fantastic at growing us, and I've had great employers. Dr. Rosalind Biggs out there has really helped shape my information on policy, and just learning from all of those people has been impeccable.
Grayson?
Yeah, I would say for me it's our advisor, Dr. Hicks. She's taught me more in the past 3 years that I've had there than the first 19 years of my life. She's eager to answer any question that I have. We communicate on a daily basis pretty much about, what's going on, and just her knowledge and her wisdom has taught me a lot, and it's something that I'll cherish for a long time, and that just different things that she's taught me. Yeah.
I miss college. Christmas break, summer off, you could take naps. Oh, it was great. I went to class. Don't get me wrong, listeners. I went to class, but you could take a nap. But it's the greatest time of your lives. Enjoy every minute of it. But when that graduation does come, Grayson, for yourself, what are some of your goals that you have right now for after grad?
Everybody asks me, what's your plans after graduation? I really don't have any, which is terrible. It really is. I just tell people I just want to work with cattle. They're my passion. I love them, and that's what I tell people, because I really have no clue right now. So that's something that I hope you maybe can find here. Somebody.
Well,
yeah,
it is. It's a great career networking opportunity, and you'll figure it out. Don't stress out about it.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing you can do is stress out about it right now. Bailee, for yourself, you're doing animal science, you're doing communication. Are you going to be like a virtual veterinarian? Some people may be asking, but I guess what are your plans?
My plans kind of change on the daily, and they'll probably change based on who is willing to hire me. And, a few months out of graduation, you'd think I'd have it figured out, but I definitely don't. I know I want to do something in the communication realm and hopefully focus on the beef industry, but if it's not right away, it's not right away. And I just know that, God has a plan for me and where I'm supposed to go, and I'd like to end up in the beef industry doing marketing for cattle, etc. And that's the end goal, but who knows how I'm going to get there.
How do you see cattle marketing changing in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think there's a huge market for video of the cattle and all of that. And I think that's something that to a more professional level than it probably is doing now. And I see that being really elaborate. And something that's kind of changing in more of the communication realm is they're kind of going away outside of the print advertisement, which is something very strong in the cattle industry. So I'm really excited to see how cattle people, are they going to go onto social media? Are they going to do more website? But the rest of the world's kind of moved away from the print advertisements. It'll be interesting to see how cattle buying goes from there.
Yep. Grayson, if you want to throw some input there, you can.
She seems like she knows more than I do.
Now, all of us have goals, and I always say college students they just want to go out and make the world a better place because they haven't been knocked down too many times. They've got to experience some great opportunities. So I guess, how do you each want to make an impact on the cattle or beef industry in your own way and somehow? It doesn't have to be right now. It could be in a few years. Because we all, again, I won't tell you some of the goals that I had right when I was graduating. I thought I'd be like a U.S. senator by now, but that's crazy. I don't want to be in politics. Yeah. But I guess, what are some, how, in your own way, how can you have a positive impact on the beef community somehow?
I think one thing is just to get involved and stay involved, and hopefully to look back and mentor some of the people like I was mentored. And really at a young age, like I said, I've been coming to cattle conventions for as long as I can remember, and I've had some really good people mentor me and help me out, and just to be that person. That's kind of where I would like to at least see myself in the cattle industry. Obviously, I have some loftier goals, but I'm not sure I want to speak those into existence on a podcast where people can go back and look that up. But yeah, I just want to be a good mentor to those around me.
You can go post about it on MySpace.
Exactly.
Grayson, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that one of my goals is educating the consumer. I think in where I live in my area, there's not a lot of people that are doing what I do or love to do, producing cattle and beef. And I just think that the consumer perception and the consumer knowledge is something that I would love to just go talk to people about,
Have you guys seen anything on campus in terms of just of your fellow collegiates' trends in eating or what dining halls are? And I'm not trying to make this a political conversation or anything, but have you ever got to engage? Obviously, you're at an agricultural college, right, and OSU, obviously, yes, ag too, but a lot of other, degree options there as well. But have you had any interactions with students on campus or other people that maybe weren't supportive of the livestock industry and were able to have an open dialogue? And if not, that's okay too.
I think for the most part, I've had pretty positive conversations about agriculture as a whole. I think it's just interesting to see how, when I came to college, it was a COVID year. And so which ones were open and which ones weren't. And a lot of the chicken places were open. So Chick-fil-A had a line all the time. And so I just feel like that was kind of a trend that you had to go out and kind of find your beef. But those of us who did really agreed with it and appreciated it. Okay.
But you probably had a good experience on camera, not too much. I guess what are just some thoughts you would just like to share with our audience that that have been in the industry, or maybe how we can all just play a better role in being better beef advocates and being involved?
I think just emphasizing the importance on showing up to different events, whether it's local, state, or national. I think that's one of the most important things you can do, because someone's going to drag you to become more involved, and meeting people and gaining those relationships, I think, is really important, and you can't do any of that if you don't show up.
Yeah, I think showing up, being an advocate for the beef industry, and, I think just, being an advocate for the beef industry and consumer knowledge and how consumers perceive what we're doing and how we're doing it.
And you bring up how consumers are perceiving that sustainability has kind of been the hot topic, and we always get a new it term in agriculture. But do you think sustainability, that topic, is going to be a must as we move forward, whether that's through our degrees and expanding knowledge? Is that term going to change? I guess, what are your thoughts on sustainability for the industry moving forward? But what maybe could be the next term or it area that folks are going to focus on?
I think sustainability is going to stay around for a while, at least until we can find a solid way to define it and have a consistent definition across producer and consumer. I think it'd be hard to move away from that term in the time being, but I think each and every day a new term could pop up at any point. And I'm not sure I can see the future to tell you what it's going to be, but I think focusing on sustainability and defining it's going to be really important to our industry.
Right. Now, I guess same line of questioning.
Yeah, I don't think sustainability, or the word at least, is going anywhere anytime soon. It's a hot topic in the beef industry, and I don't see it going anywhere.
What are some of the courses that maybe that you're taking? How have it'd be interesting to have someone that graduated when I graduated college that went through your program and maybe compare maybe how the curriculum has changed or just terminology. I guess what are some of the lessons or what maybe you could be learning on the sustainability topic at your respective institutions?
I think one of the important classes I took, being a ag communications major, was issues in crisis management and how to handle it kind of as it comes, especially with social media. It can go, rapid real quick and kind of get out of control, and it's hard to maintain in that. So it was really interesting to hear about how, as a producer, even if you're not ahead of the ball, like, how do I get there? How do I control the situation and manage what's being talked about in our industry? And so that was probably one of the courses I took the most away from.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned forages as well. How can you have they kind of brought the sustainability conversation into courses like that, and how maybe grazing management or looking at that on the sustainability?
Yeah,
aspect?
I would say I think almost any of the classes that we take, there's an aspect of the sustainability built within it. Like the forages class we take, you talk about like you said, grazing management and how we're grazing, and along with water and stuff like that.
So since you enjoy the forage aspect of it, did you have to learn plant ID on 30, 40-year-old dried out plants that are really hard to identify, and then you got to go take that quiz and you get it wrong? How are your plant ID? How is your college's plant IDs? What would you call that? A drying of they dry it out, or a pressing of a plant.
Yeah.
Do you have a good program? Because I've never met a college that has like the perfect specimens where you can study plant ID unless you're out in the field.
Right. Or in my forages class, we had a poisonous plant of the week.
Oh.
Yeah. So, we learned a couple of slides on this one poisonous plant. We had 15 over the course of the semester. I still wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, and I probably didn't do great on that exam. But yeah, I don't think there's any great way of learning a bunch of different plant and what they look like. Yeah,
that was the hardest course we had to take. It was I think it was a 4-credit class. You take it your freshman year. It was Natural Resources 101, and you got 3 credits for the lecture, and it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 8 a.m. College of Ag, 8 a.m. classes, and then your lab was going out, and but it snows in Montana, and you can't really do the lab out there after like the first month, and then you'd have to go in and do your plant ID and everything on those old examples and everything too. That lab should have been 4 credits itself. But did you have to take plant ID or anything like that, OSC, or did you didn't?
I took a plant ID class, but I'll be honest, it was COVID, so it was all online. I didn't have to go through any of that.
Did you have to do a lot of online stuff?
During COVID, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't imagine it.
I was very thankful that OSU kind of opened up pretty quick, because a lot of my friends back in Minnesota were just struggling with the online. And the professors really tried to get us back in the classroom as soon as they could.
No, you don't even probably submit paper essays or anything anymore. It's all through.
I turned in an assignment last night. being here at CattleCon. I was doing my homework.
It makes it kind of hard to share like your brother's report from like 5 years ago too nowadays because
you just got to switch universities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just send the sister to a different university. You'll have the same stuff.
Start to appreciate Quizlet and all that kind of stuff real quick.
Someone's done it before.
Yeah.
You can like put test questions in with answers.
We'll see.
And like search it.
We had the AGR test bank in the fraternity where everybody would come over and you'd study and, go through old quizzes.
Now there's Chat GPT. You don't even have to write your own essay.
Well,
if you
I
don't
use
want.
Chat GPT for my career a little bit.
I can't believe you know what that is and not Quizlet.
I didn't have to use it. I'm old. You don't know how many years I've been out of school. That's
dropped using encyclopedias and stuff like that.
What year were you two born?
2002.
2001.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're my nephew's age. Oh, goodness. What is it, Gen Z or Gen X? What are you guys? What's that generation now?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
No clue.
Yeah. No clue. Yeah, I know. It just frustrates me because everybody says those dang millennials. I'm like, we have arthritis now. Like you can't blame the millennials anymore. Like we are aging out here, getting the blame on things. That dang book face that everybody's on and complaining about. But hey, I really hope that you guys enjoy your ninth convention and your first convention here at CattleCon. I was told I have to call it CattleCon and not Cattle Industry Convention anymore. So, yeah, it's not Comic-Con, it's CattleCon. Actually, well, there was actually Comic-Con at the summer meeting in San Diego.
We went and walked past it while it was going on still. It was really insane.
Oh, they're having something here this weekend? Yeah. Really? Oh, well, I might have to dress up. Go get a lightsaber.
I think we're getting out of here for that.
Oh, yeah.
Get that picture.
Yeah, I'll be Harry Potter or something. Go to Universal, get a wand. Oh, I apologize to our listeners out there. This is actually the first recording that we've had here at the event. So for our listeners out there, thanks for joining us here today and answering the Cattlemen's Call. Make sure and click subscribe if you have not done so on wherever you listen to podcasts. Share it. And any last thoughts before I let you get back to CattleCon 24?
I think something important for all of the listeners to also know is we probably wouldn't be here as collegiates without help from alumni, from people supporting our universities. And so I know Oklahoma Collegiate Cattlemen got a lot of supporters to help us come here. And so we just thank everybody for that.
Yeah, I'd also say the same thing. People that came before us that have done this before and that we can learn from. So, yeah, just...
Well, enjoy convention. Enjoy your college experience. And again, you don't have to tell anybody what you're going to do either. But I hope to look to see you guys down in the future here at CattleCon and playing a role in the agriculture community, whether that's in Minnesota or South Carolina or Georgia or wherever that may be. And for all of our listeners here too, it's just exciting to meet the collegiates that are excited about the future, but truly are going to be the leaders and the innovators of our business for years to come. So Grayson and Bailee, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, friends, that will do it for today's Cattlemen's Call podcast. I'm Lane Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to NCBA's Cattlemen's Call podcast with Lane Nordlund. For more information, visit ncba.org and make sure to subscribe to the podcast today.